Back on August 15th, I did a piece about Alberta declaring the COVID pandemic has become something more endemic, i.e. we're just going to live with it and there's no point trying to stop it. This happened when they reopened everything just as the Delta variant exploded in that province. I also said that while there's a case to be made that Canada might be better off with fewer Albertans in it, I expressed surprise that the Alberta government would embrace that as official policy. And now, nearly 2 months later, Premier Jason Kenney apologized for that direction, but he's also continued to double down on his reluctance to put the province under another flatten-the-curve lockdown, or any other measure other than survival of the fittest. I've said this on the Colbert Report, available on YouTube, and I'll repeat it here. When this pandemic first began, some were likening it to war. And if you're going to go into war, then you pivot everything to a war economy and expect the casualties to mount while you keep going. And I've long insisted that meant gearing up for flooded hospital wards, high demand for ventilators and incubators. So they needed to approach this as a battle, like any war, using the first lockdown time as a period to build temporary hospitals and accumulate what was needed to fight it in the long term. And I get why liberals and social democrats didn't do that. It's not their thing. But nearly 2/3 of this country has conservative provincial governments running them. And they spent the first 3 waves of this pandemic waffling around like a bunch of Mr. Dithers. People die in a pandemic, and leaders sometimes have to make tough choices. But to sit on the sidelines and armchair quarterback when you're the one holding the ball is just criminal, because the best case scenario is someone else fixes your problems for you. But more likely, your dithering kills a whole lot of people. So Doug, Moe, Jason, these deaths are on you. And unless you're facing a mirror, any finger pointing you make is both bad theatrics and poor attempts at deflection. You 3 had 3 chances to get it right, and 3 strikes means you should all be out, not sitting at bat for another few rounds. This is government, not wiffle ball, boys. Lead, follow, or get out of the way! On this day in 1970, James Cross, the British Trade Commissioner to Canada, was kidnapped by members of the domestic terrorist organization Front de Libération du Québec, FLQ, which triggered Canada's October crisis and led to then Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau's response to the question of how far he would go in the suspension of civil liberties to maintain order being,
just watch me,
proving once again that conservatives have little walnut-sized testicles in a crisis, while progressives have the biggest balls of all. Sorry. Yeah, not sorry. It's also World Teachers Day, Chic Spy Day, or is that Chic Spy or Chick Spy? I don't know, whatever. Country in Bed and Breakfast Day, and Balloons Around the World Day. Seriously, don't do that last one. It's bad for animals. And that's today's Duza Bear Digest. See you tomorrow.